Of all the mock trades you created a few days ago, which one do you believe is most likely to happen? And before we get to this one, of course, just another reminder, check out Joe's mock trade proposal article, smy.tv. So, Joe, this one is on a platter for you. And I really enjoyed this article because I thought you're a little bit of a prospect hugger, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's not, as you should be.
Yeah.
You covered these guys more than anyone else, and it's just a little bit of a tougher separation process. I thought you were brutally honest in this article. You had some real like beefed up packages you got to pay to get, and I thought you did a good job of that.
Appreciate that. I did my best to try to put the other team's hat on and what I would want if I were them, and not just be like, well, how could I make a deal that's just such a sweetheart deal that the Mets should just run out and do it today? What are they waiting for? But if I had to pick the one most likely, I would probably go with the deal with the Orioles. And
That was mine.
I think, whether it's this exact package, which for reference, and go read the article to see everything else that I did, but this was the Mets would get Cedric Mullins and Gregory Soto, left-hand reliever, for two pitching prospects, Nate Dome and Jack Wenninger, who are having really good seasons. Wenninger at the Double-A level, and Nate Dome is with Brooklyn and was a third-round pick in last year's draft. I think the Orioles, of all the teams that are out there, are the best fit for the Mets to make a trade. One, they are looking for young pitching, and that's where the Mets have depth in their system to trade from. The Mets need a center fielder. The Orioles have one available, and I know he's not having the best first half. He got off to a really hot start, then it's been cold for a while. But if you look back to last year, he had a poor first half, and then he had a massive second half, and that's when we talked about trading for him in the offseason. So maybe you bring him into this scenario, and he could split time with Tyrone Taylor, and he maybe can make an impact here. And then you want a starter? All right. They got Charlie Morton. They have Zach Eflin. They have Tomoyuki Sugano. You want bullpen help? All right. They got Sir Anthony Dominguez. They have Andrew Kittredge. They have Gregory Soto. They have Felix Bautista, who I don't think is going to move, but on a higher end, I think the Orioles and the Mets just fit so well as trade partners that I couldn't resist but making a trade with them.
I'm with you all the way. They are the most realistic. It's not just, American League, National League. It's also the fact that, and your article highlighted a lot of this, because I think it's not just showing trades. It's kind of like a cheat code or a cheat sheet to recap prospects in the system that have, moved up a little bit from what they've done this year. The Orioles, they need to add young pitching to their system. They've done this giant rebuild. They have all this position player talent. They have some talent with their arms, but they need young arms in quantity in the system. And the Mets can offer that for teams right now. They're not, I don't think, looking to give you, Jonah Tong or somebody that's going to be a front of your rotation in a year or two, but they can give you some guys that you could be in the lower levels and kind of, get their way up for expiring relievers. And Mullins has been a favorite of this show for a while because speed and defense is kind of a theme of what we think the Mets need. So I really, really like that one as well. And it's these talks aren't going anywhere, Joe. We're going to have a lot of trade deadline conversations. I know one thing I kind of wanted to, caveat or put a little note on this before we wrap the show today too, Joe, is that the Red Sox have won, I think, 10 games in a row. Yeah. So, and we're guilty of this. We've talked about Jarren Duran and a ton of different ideas with the Red Sox. I mean, that division is so wide open right now. I think Mets fans, for now, I would not treat the Red Sox as even close to being sellers. There is no reason they should be sellers just because they traded Devers, which I think was more problem with the player rather than rebuilding the roster. I think, unfortunately, and we'd love Duran. We'd like a lot of pieces from the Red Sox. I think those days look behind us right now, Joe.
Yeah, I made sure I prefaced, because there was a Jarren Duran proposal in there, and I prefaced my write-up below
every
it.
Mets fan wants one, yeah.
And I said, this is unlikely. So I made sure to preface with that. What I will say is the Red Sox have like a glut of outfielders right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think even though they are winning, I don't think it's impossible that Jarren Duran becomes available. But if Jarren Duran becomes available and the Red Sox continue to play the way they are, I don't think it would be for prospects. Like maybe it's a deal based around Jarren Duran and Joe Ryan, who we talked about before. Like that's a deal where it's all right. We have a lot of outfielders. We need help in the rotation, and it's two controllable young guys. Like maybe that would make sense. But I would say keep an eye on that, perhaps, if they're going to move him at all. I don't think it'll be for the prospect package, which my favorite part about this, Connor, as soon as I sent it in, I was like, I can't wait to just see the replies that every trade, the Mets either gave too much or they didn't give enough. So that's how you know you may have gotten at least reasonable value if it's split that way.
Welcome to writing mock drafts, my
Yes.
friend.